This one's got an off switch. I went with that.
All right.
There's like,
Yeah,
John?
he's really good about that.
And 3, 2.
Welcome to Sunday Sessions, hosted by Vibe Unit. Vibe Unit is a launchpad and discovery platform for musicians and creatives. We get together here for Sunday Sessions every Sunday to try to get together with musicians, meet some people, see what folks are up to in terms of musical interests, creative pursuits in general. If you know anybody who would be into that sort of thing, media@vibeunit.com is the best way to get a hold of us if you want to come through or see what we're doing. And then I also want to shout out our donors. That's another way that people help us out. We have people that have really helped us out immensely throughout this last year, and we just want to go ahead and recognize that. We were talking about before we started how kind of every time we've run into something where we've needed something to kind of take the next step or do what we need to do, folks have come through and made that happen, so we really, really appreciate that. Today is a special day in the sense that we are going to keep it short and sweet. I am hosting open mic at the Livery tonight. So we are going to be taking some equipment over there and getting set up over there. But today is a session 104.
yep, 104.
I got Mike with me here, and
going?
we're just gonna do a little bit of talking about what we're up to and
Yeah.
what we're doing. So how are
And
things going for you?
Not too bad.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that open mic night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
There's
I've talked to a
definitely-
bunch of folks, and it seems like people are excited. So
Did you talk? Are there going to be a lot of participants, or are there going to be a lot of audience?
that's what I
members?
don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard from both, and you know how it is. Any time and someone says, "Oh yeah, I'll come out," it's like, well, we'll see. So,
Yeah.
no obligations, but we'll just see what happens. Should be a fun night. We had a good show there last night.
Who was playing?
Jagalchi was the name of the band.
Gulchi.
As I understand it, some of their members are from like northern Indiana, but it sounded like some of them were from Ohio potentially. So kind of a mixture of stuff, a lot of different influences. They were kind of like a jam oriented thing, but I would kind of classify it as almost more like a post rock sort of thing. Interestingly enough, that was fronted by horns. So they had a really incredible horn player. So yeah, if you've never heard of those guys, check them out. They really put on a good show.
Spell Jagolchi. Could you even do it right now? Is it on that
I think it's
poster?
like pretty much phonetic, like J-A-G.
Do you think if I got close on Google, it would correct it?
I bet you it
Just
would.
say like Jagolchi and band.
Yeah, I mean, they have a band camp, so that would probably pull up
There you
something
go.
useful.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that tonight, like, there's a lot of energy, excitement for it. I've been talking to people as well, and I've been getting a lot of interest in the open mic night tonight, which is cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, something we've kind of talked about here a lot is we know that the open mic is a really good opportunity to kind of for people to showcase what they're working on, which is really in the spirit of what we're trying to do here as well.
Right.
So really leaning into that and seeing that be, well supported, well attended, both by musicians and artists, creatives, and those that just enjoy that sort of thing as well.
So you took on kind of a double duty tonight. You're not only hosting, but you're also kind of running sound too. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit. So, I mean, we have enough elements that we're doing in terms of what we're taking down there enough. It's just like easier to probably just to figure it out and just make it run. So, we haven't figured out exactly to what level we're trying to do this, but it's
Well, it depends on who shows up to sign up too.
That's true. So we're gonna take some basic stuff down there. I know you've got some plans to do some performing yourself.
Yep.
I'll do some of that as well. In fact, we'll probably do some collaborative stuff.
Oh yeah.
Which will be some fun. And yeah, so I don't. The sign up for that starts at 4:30. So
4:30,
if
okay.
you're looking to play, that would be the best time to get your name down and figure out what you want to do and get on there. And then the performances are going to start at 5.
Okay. So that's good to know. 4:30 you said sign up.
Sign up, yep.
5
4:30,
o'clock.
5 o'clock start. So if you're just trying to come out and watch, which support's appreciated there too for everybody involved.
Yeah, that's cool. It's just
5
really
o'clock.
really cool that the BHAA does this and allows an opportunity for musicians of all skill sets to have an opportunity to perform. Not a lot of people have that opportunity, so
Yeah, hats off to the Livery as well for making their stage available for that sort of thing too. It like I said, it's a really good opportunity. I feel like for people to come out, and there's not really a threshold other than, like I said, be there at the time. So that's pretty easy to do.
So that's tonight. Today we're kind of talking a little bit about maybe some Vibe Unit stuff. So we talked a little bit before New Year's and Christmas even about kind of changing some things around here. Did you want to get into that today? Or as far as like one thing that comes to mind is how we would like to do another night potentially to like more of a community night without the live stream, without any of
Yeah,
that.
I think it's time to probably start discussing that for sure, publicly. So I guess maybe I'll just lead in on that a little bit. We had kind of talked about we've had a common thread amongst certain folks that we've talked to over the years. It's funny to even be saying it that way because we've actually been doing this a while now.
Yeah.
But like there's some amount of pressure that comes with like the live broadcast element, and I guess maybe to some degree there's a confidence that's developed in that isn't just there right away. And I don't know how fair that is to expect people to be okay with that. And
so
we
do you
want
mean-
to open the doors more widely and say, what if we just had a night where, or afternoon, or whatever it ends up being in the very end, whatever ends up needing to be. But we just want to be able to kind of do more of an open house style thing and just say, come by and see what we're up to, or
Yeah.
come by and meet some people,
Without the
jam,
pressure
whatever.
of the live stream.
Yeah, and we're not
without-
planning to broadcast that.
Because
So
something we didn't account for getting into this, we wanted it to feel like an open-ended jam session, and it does when you have musicians who are kind of aware of their surroundings and other musicians. But sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking for someone who's not that level to just jump in and feel like they're contributing or feel like they're not embarrassing themselves on a stream. So we wanted to make sure we facilitated people who, maybe aren't at the level of like, hey, this is like performative in some sense.
right.
Even though that wasn't the goal for the live stream, it was more of
but
like
I mean, in some sense, that's a component of
It
it.
is
So
a
it's not
component,
something that can
yeah.
be ignored.
yeah, you
so-
can't. It's hard to break free from from that performative stuff when there's a live stream going on. It's just you
Absolutely.
can't. It's so, and we didn't think of that
So yeah, I
until recently.
this is bad that I'm now thinking about it, going, well, what did we decide about that? But I think we said we wanted to pick like a certain week,
Yeah,
to rely on for that.
we kind of wanted to also position it after the open mic night, and I think the reason why, because you and I are somewhat involved in that. I mean, you're more involved than me at this point, but hopefully I'll be more involved in the coming months. But the whole idea was the kind of people that'd be interested in a meet and greet community night would be at an open mic night, and that would be a great opportunity to say, hey, next week, come hang out. We can we're doing just a community night, and you could talk to people at the open mic night about it. That was kind of like the idea there.
Right.
We hadn't really come to any conclusion on that, really. Maybe we did, but
I think we kind of floated around like a second Saturday.
yeah, that's what it
kinda
seemed
thing.
like it would have been the right call.
So anyways, if you have any sort of I guess feedback or input on that, we're open to that, because the whole point of that is to try to say what's just something that we can just say, hey, we're just here at this time.
It would
And
look
if you
like
want to be here, you can be here.
doors open at a certain time, and then during that time you can show up at any time, hang out for a little bit, stay as long as you want, stay as little
Yeah,
as you
leave
want.
if you want, whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't
whatever
matter.
you want. And then at some point it would end, and we'd say it would be like a couple hours probably, and then after that, go on with our week.
Sure.
As we do.
So yeah, and then as we do that, we have a desire as well to use this as we have from the beginning as a platform to showcase musicians as well, and talent that's especially local talent that exists here. And so, hoping to have, more conversations with folks that are interested in also kind of doing that with us.
Like bands,
Yeah,
or maybe like jam bands even would be fine if they're like
Whatever. We
whatever.
have kind of a blank slate here to do whatever, and I'm feeling really personally anyways, really confident in like our ability to present something well.
Yeah.
So I'd like to try to like do that for somebody else if we can. So
we definitely care about the presentation side of things a lot.
there's
and
always
we put
been
a lot of thought towards that.
some sort of an element of that,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like that's something that might make it easier to pursue that, because like I said, I feel like there's a certain amount of, we'll just say like production pressure or whatever, that like I don't feel like it's fair to just put on somebody.
Right. Yeah,
So,
especially a novice or someone who just wants to dip their toes in the music world.
right, exactly. So
know?
it seems like there needs to develop some sort of distinction so that nobody gets left out.
Right.
At all.
And that's the
Like,
goal, really, in all of this, is to make sure no one's left out. Because
absolutely.
we know what that feels like when you're trying to participate in something and you don't feel like, you are allowed to, or maybe you can contribute.
Sure.
So,
Or like you said, there's not like the right spot to
yeah.
do something. So,
But
but as time goes on, I think Sunday is probably gonna turn more into, like, we'll just call it a showcase.
yeah, showcase.
You know what I mean? In the way you'd expect. I'm not gonna say an open mic because we don't really have the setup here to be able to just like run a bunch of people in and out with a bunch of
Right.
acts. But I could see it being at the kind of thing where some number of acts could do a Sunday if it was a smaller singer-songwriter thing or whatever.
Would these be acts that are doing originals? Because we do have an issue with
Yeah,
copyright
yeah.
material.
So what we're specifically talking about here is original music. Music that is we're not really trying to. We're not really in the business of like putting out cover material. We've done it a couple times. Weirdly, one of the things we did that was really cool is we made a cover in like an afternoon
That
once.
was like within the first 10 sessions, maybe.
I don't know if it was that early.
No?
I'm
Okay.
not really sure though, to be honest. But that was
I
a
remember
very
it was Wes, right?
that was yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a fun day.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But like that really didn't make sense. It wasn't enjoyable for anyone to like consume because we couldn't play any of the original stuff we were using. We couldn't play half the production process.
It
like,
got messy real fast.
it was just weird.
It got clean.
The idea was so good, but so we had to kind of rethink like what are we really doing here and how do we avoid that kind of thing into the future. So we've even had like we've had singers in here now multiple times that have like sang even just like the slightest lick of something, and it's like YouTube will pick it up immediately somehow. Like they just know, oh, that sounds like whatever song. And we've been flagged, I think maybe like twice or three times in the entire like existence of this thing. So
yeah, we try really hard to avoid that.
yeah,
but
if at all possible. So
it wouldn't be good to get that reputation wherever that exists,
and that's just it's easier for everyone involved. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
if none of that has to be worried about. So
Yeah.
and obviously if it's your stuff, if you want to be here and
Yeah.
put it on in this way, then that's on you.
Yeah.
You can make that decision. So
So yeah, I guess that we're looking to. We talked about this too, and I wish I'd brought my notebook because I write this stuff down. But we talked about a couple weeks ago, like there's two kind of worlds when you're dealing with musicians. There's like this kind of experimental, creative side, and then there's more of like a traditional side, right? And seems like we've done a really good job catering to that, like creative incubator, sort of like what happens sort of side of things. We're trying to also curate an a like area for musicians who have stuff that they've like worked on and have polished up and are ready to showcase. And so
100%.
like now we'll have both of those things represented with its own event, which I think is cool because there has been cases in the last couple of years where someone wants to come in and do some material but then you're also trying to keep it open for other people to be able to participate. But if it's someone who already has a set idea of what their music's going to become, they have the people involved that need to be involved already and they don't need anyone else. Well, we'd like to facilitate that, but what do you do with the extra people that are coming through? Like, how do you plug them in and stuff? So it just made more sense to like separate those things out. And in the meantime, also the stone could, strike, I guess, a second bird, you could say, in the sense that the people who are not wanting to be on the live stream would also have a spot. So it almost kind of covers a lot of it solves a lot of the problems we've been trying to figure out.
Right.
You can't just solve with one stream.
That's true.
Or one event.
That's true.
So.
Even though, and that's the thing, like this whole thing has been a process of figuring out what exactly is working and what's not, and just trying to go towards what makes sense.
Yeah.
And just kind of problem solve along the way.
We're quite improvisational, just in our heart. Like just that's the heart of this in a sense. And so I guess in speaking to that, it is kind of good for us to kind of, because you and I have had a lot of traditional experience in sense of like, you worked with like stage crew stuff, how like a what do you call it, what's the operation of events that you do? What do they call that? Like a plan. You get like usually get like the bulletin. It has like the order of like how the service will go. Like if you're in a church setting or like if you go to whatever you call that. I don't know. Do you have the word?
Just like an order of events.
Okay,
And that kind
fine.
Of thing? I
Fine.
don't know.
So like when you have like an order of events.
Or I guess on the real complex side of things, a queue list.
Yeah, or a
Which
queue.
we're-
Okay, sure, a queue list. Like when you have one of those, we've worked within that confines of like, okay, the next act is this, or the next act is this. We know how to like do that because, I was in band and you did a little bit of that too, and then the stage crew thing. So, what we're gonna be able to like kind of operate in that world a little bit more, which I'm excited about because I kind of like knowing what to expect, and being able to prepare and then polish what you have really
Right.
well. I
Right.
like that.
So yeah, we'll see exactly what happens with that. But that's the tentative plan, I guess,
Yeah.
going forward. And it's not going to be like a hard cut either. Like
No.
at the moment, we're just going to keep doing kind of what we're doing now. And as it becomes more obvious what we have to present, we'll just start blocking off, Sundays or whatever that we're trying to do that on, and just say, hey, this is on this day we're doing
Yep.
the other thing. And by the time we're doing that, we will have spun up.
Taylor
Yeah.
says, "Thanks for doing this, y'all. Musicians around here need this."
Oh,
Thank you.
well,
I
thanks,
appreciate
Taylor.
it.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
So yeah, I'm thinking, what did we say? Second Saturday is probably.
Yeah. So, I think that we could, I don't want to say, do we say next month? I mean, I could do it. We
Probably.
could do it.
Yeah, probably next month is what.
Yeah,
we
next
would say.
month. Next month, second Saturday.
So it'd be second
And
Saturday in February.
And we'll let you know, like our
post about
community.
time
yeah,
and all that.
Yeah,
We'll
we're still
figure it
working
out.
out some of the details still, obviously, but that is the idea. So if you're hearing this right now and you have any feedback, like John mentioned just a moment ago, in regards to that, what time we should start, what works for people, we want to be able to include as many people as possible. What sounds like a comfortable amount of time, like what feels like an appropriate amount of time. Like we don't want to. We also have our own lives, so like we'll stretch as far as we can. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to do it the whole day, but we'll do the best we can in terms of making sure we can allow you to hit the target, make as large of a target as possible.
Right.
So
Exactly. We just want to be accessible.
exactly, yeah. So cool.
So, cool. Well, is there any other business we need to handle or report? Other than, I guess we've now been, if anyone's noticed, we've had maybe the look be a little different every week, and we had an idea a while back where we're like, what if we just kind of put everything away, you know what I mean, and just strike everything and get it all back, but we'll only bring out what we need. And it turns out there was definitely benefit in having a bunch of we'll just say stations set up, but at the same time those things take nearly nothing to set up. I mean, you're using components of one right
Yeah.
now, and
Oh yeah.
it is what it is. So yeah, it's nice to be able to just use the space for something else, or
And because we're
move cameras, or set up less things. Like you moved the piano out, and now it has a little bit different look in here. And it's nice to kind of be able to toy with that. So
it also makes sense to be able to clean the space because of what we mentioned with the Sunday changes with the bands we want to bring through and host.
So it gives us a chance to do all that too.
And we want to get better at like setting up spaces too. Like when it's always set a certain way, you lose practice in like setting up the space. And just as much as importance there is put on practicing your instrument, you got to get better at like wrapping cables and practicing like the cleanup and the tear down and the setup. So
yeah, all those things. It's actually funny because that's even what some of the guys in the band last night were saying. Like in one case, it's like, yeah, the reason I'm using this particular setup is because I used to take this, but it's like, why I'm just tired of hauling that around.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is the thing that gave specifically an interface. It's like, well, this one I already had, and it just plugs in and has enough outputs. Like it's the least amount of things I have to pull out.
you
and
trim
set
the
up.
fat where you can.
Yeah.
Because
It takes time.
I was thinking about that with Hannah's and my thing we're doing tonight.
Sure.
Like, how can I set this up and tear this down efficiently? And I was telling you before the stream, I got it down to like 3.5 minutes, like being able to like set it up. Like that was the average amount of time it took. So that's
Right.
still a little too long for me, honestly. But I had to practice. I did like 3 times this morning and then averaged out like, yeah, I care about that stuff, being able to get out of the way quicker. And
Right. Well, it makes you know the gear a little better too.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
So, all good things.
How long have we already been going?
Yeah, I don't know.
20
I was gonna
minutes?
say I didn't
Yeah,
have
just
any.
about 10 seconds away from 20.
Yeah, it felt like 20 minutes. Well, yeah, we don't really have much going
Say-
on. I mean, in lieu of tonight and all the things that we got to accomplish
Yeah, I'm
today.
kind of pouring the energy into that, right? So
Yeah.
You said you're performing tonight, Mike?
Yes. Yep. Me and Hannah are.
gonna do a couple of songs.
Yeah, we're trying something I've never done. I'm a little, let's say, this will be the first time performing with the equipment I'm using, so it's gonna take some. This is gonna be an
New and
opportunity.
exciting.
Yeah, an opportunity to find where the failure points are and improve. So I don't expect it to go 100% smoothly, but I do know what the goal is. So that
That helps.
yeah, that does help.
Definitely helps.
And Hannah's excited about the songs because she got to choose them, and she's playing. She's actually playing a drum machine, which
You're doing bass, right?
and I'm playing the bass.
Nice.
So what's cool about that is one thing that Hannah really likes. I guess we could talk about this for a sec, maybe, because it is kind of on topic. One of the things that Hannah really likes is that I would say like that really chill hip hop style, like almost R&B, but not quite. I wouldn't know what to actually classify it as, but Sneaky Little Devil style.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean,
I don't know, like
whatever.
neo soul or something.
Yeah, some kind of neo soul. Yeah, that actually might be it. That is what it is. And she likes these groups that are like that, but she is a piano player. And that's good that she plays piano because a lot of those songs do really well with that, but she always misses out on a fundamental part of that music, which is the rhythm. Like the groove matters so much to that stuff to kind of dictate the feel and the emotion and just like all that. So about a couple months ago, I think this would have been late November, maybe around Thanksgiving, when I talked to her, I set up the drum machine for her. I'm like, hey, why don't you try to learn this? And it's a Roland TR-8S. Something I really wanted a couple years ago and ended up not using as much as I thought I'd use it because I switched over to a different workflow with my drum tracking and stuff. So I let her borrow it, and she ended up just like figuring it out and just getting really good at it. And then it got me thinking like maybe this should be hers, because like it's really fun to play instrument. She seems to enjoy it.
Are you using that for both the songs?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So originally she was going to try to do the Lana Del Rey song, Salvatore. She was going to try to do that song, I think, with just like, she's like, maybe I need keys, and I'll just play keys along with it. But it doesn't ever have that energy it needs. I was like, why don't we work it up a pattern just like we did the other song? Let's do it on the drum machine. So we did that. And the results were really good because the drum machine has basically any sort of drum samples you'd want for like, it's got the 808 in it, it's got the 707,
Yeah, it does have a little bit of everything.
It's got a little bit of everything. Anything in the Roland drum machine line, it basically has. And if it doesn't have it, it's because it was made after that drum machine. So it just holds on to everything that has ever been made by Roland in terms of that. And then it also has some other ones that they can't name, but like, like the Lynn drum, that kind of thing. So we're going through, we're setting up all the patterns, and it starts sounding like really good. And I'm like, oh man. And then we couldn't get the kick right on Salvatore. It has no attack in it. It's just all the reverb, just like this, like doo, but like none of the kick, like the attack. So we found out we could just scoop
envelope.
We enveloped it,
Yeah.
And now it slides in. You hear it. It's like it just sounds like a distant kick drum, like way out. But like it's going through the reverb just nicely, and I was like, "This is actually strangely effective." I was really impressed with like its ability.
That's awesome.
And it like really put everything together. And then and then we did the song, and I was like, "Okay, it's good, but there's this beautiful orchestra in this song that I just don't hear. Like we're not able to create it, like the feel of this orchestra. That's a key part of the song." So I ended up doing another thing that will be the first time I've ever done in a live setting. I got the drum machine to communicate with MIDI with the laptop, and I set up in a Logic session all the orchestration, all the keys parts. So when she hits play on the computer, it starts the drum machine at the same time as the computer, and it plays through the whole song. And she gets to just change the faders for the different parts on the drum machine for like when the kick's there, when the snare's there, all that. So we ran through it, and I don't want to talk it up too much. I want to get through it, and then like we can talk about it maybe next week or something.
Yeah.
But I'll say that regardless of how things go tonight, and regardless of how it sounds at the Livery, I will say the way it sounded in my room was so cool. And I hope it sounds like that tonight. I really do.
That's
so
awesome.
if that doesn't get people to come out and check it out, then I don't know what else will.
I saw that's so funny. A couple weeks back, like before the holidays, y'all were down here practicing one of the other songs you're doing, and like that was sounding wicked good
Thank
too.
you,
And that
thank
was
you.
kind of in the early phases of
Yeah.
that, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
So I'm
it's just
excited.
I'm proud of my sister for learning the drum machine. Like if she hears this in the future, Hannah, I'm proud of you for learning that drum machine. Like honestly, it's so cool, and I think it's really cool you play it. Like, and the way you play it is really cool. I'm excited for you to get to show that off tonight.
Yep. Well, we'll get it all set up and rolling and
Sounds good.
figure it out.
Haha, Roland.
Roland.
Rolling in with some Roland.
I see what you did there.
That is really good.
That was good.
Thank
Anyway, okay. Well, we could sign off then.
I mean,
I feel like
we
that-
could do anything.
I
We-
feel like we're at that moment.
As we've said many times, this is a blank slate.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that we can have this kind of like pre-game before we go over there and just hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. We have no musicians with us today. A lot of them expressed to us that the ones that are participating at the Livery, they wanted to focus on that today. And that's kind of how our heads are at too. We're trying to get down there and get set up. So
Yeah, for sure.
Could you
makes
repeat
sense.
the times again for
4:30
Yep.
sign up. So get your name on the list, get a slot, figure out where you're trying to fit your thing in. And I feel like, there's usually some slots left, but don't count on it. The earlier you get there and get your name on there, the better. And I'll have the sign up and come find me.
Yep.
This is what I look like.
he'll be wearing that hat?
How late does it usually go? Does it vary depending on who's there, or is there a cutoff time?
There is an end time, but weirdly enough, I just didn't pay any attention to that at all.
I think
so
last time, wasn't it like 10 maybe?
Let me read here just a second.
Okay.
it goes that late.
Yeah, maybe not.
Like 8:30 maybe or something.
Okay.
Like that.
So it's a few hours, 4 hours maybe.
Can we get?
Just a second. Computer's very slow. Okay. It
We
says
need to
that
fix
8
that.
p.m. end.
8 p.m.
8.
So I
okay.
believe that's
So
just
3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm 4:30 start up, but then it starts there. So all right, well we're going to I think wrap it up here, and thanks for tuning in.
One more time,
Oh.
I just wanted to thank our donors again. I don't know if we have the graphic for that, but all these people have just really helped. And we're just gonna the plan here is to just keep like a rolling this list will just be like the last month or whatever
Yeah.
of folks. So if you see your name there, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. This was session 104.
104.
And you can find us at the Livery. We'll
Yeah.
be down there in a little bit and sign up at 4:30. Show
Yeah.
starts at 5. So
All right, see you next week.
see you next week.